The character I'm pursuing seems a bit off. The male lead looks like the forbidden desire type, time to wreck him. The male lead set down his wine glass and silently buttoned his collar all the way to the top. Me? The second male lead dresses like a rookie real estate agent every day. No wonder he stayed single till the end. The soot-up second male lead paused his meeting, changed his outfit, and even washed his hair, now looking as fresh as a college boy to me. That mink coat the big villain is wearing must be ninth, and why does it shed so much when touched? The big villain, in the middle of delivering his threatening lines, shut his mouth and glanced down at his mink coat. Me? Wait, do they have mind-reading abilities or something? Seriously, what the hell? Since when are mind-reading skills sold in bulk? No joke, before I transmigrated, I was almost a rich, beautiful heiress. Too bad my biological father squandered the family fortune, ran up massive debts, and then just skipped town. I only found out when debt collectors tracked me down at the orphanage. Abandoned at an orphanage since I was a kid, never spent a dime of my father's money, and now I'm supposed to pay off his debts? Since when is that how the world works? So I didn't hesitate, I ran, but clearly my luck wasn't great. While hiding from debt collectors, I ended up squished under a truck. Then I transmigrated into a novel as a romance conqueror. The system told me that as long as I completed the conquest tasks, I could return to the real world with a fortune of 100 million. As if worried that wasn't tempting enough, it added that if I failed the tasks, I'd be stuck in this world forever. LOL'd, and my biological father owed 1 billion. The reward of 100 million wouldn't even be enough to cover the interest. Why would I go back? To be the scapegoat? No way I'm completing these conquest tasks, not in this lifetime. I've decided to just lounge around and wait to die in this world. But I'm someone with a strong sense of contractual spirit. Even if I plan to slack off, I'll still praise the boss' empty promises. The system, unaware of my true intentions, nodded in satisfaction and said my goals were simple. First, conquer the male lead. Second, conquer the second male lead. Third, conquer the villain. I glanced distractedly into the mirror and didn't quite process what the system said. The reflection showed the face of an innocent, delicate white lotus, the kind that looks like she's not long for this world, an early death white moonlight. I'm so pretty, time to wreck myself, did I casually asked. Choose one from the male lead, the second male lead, and the villain. The system replied meaningfully, children make choices. Adults take them all. I paused. Since when is this kind of forbidden harem style allowed in a Jihu story? That doesn't seem right. The system snorted. Huh, as if threw me. You're so casual about T-Sit, makes me look like a fool. 2. According to the script provided by the system, I am the stepmother's burdensome stepsister of the male protagonist. I serve as an obstacle on the path of the protagonist's romance, and I am undoubtedly the wicked female antagonist destined to meet a tragic end. One might politely inquire, what manner of beauty must the male lead possess to have the purest white jasmine cast as such a malevolent character? Let it be known, if he resembles a kappa, I shall promptly obliterate the system. The system remained silent, as if its electronic visage were berating me. Before long, I found myself at the engagement banquet of my conveniently acquired father and mother, where I laid eyes upon the male lead, Shinzu. Alas, he was far too handsome. He could easily join the ranks of the 188 boy band with a figure that seemed to be tailored for a heartthrob, reeking of a charming rogue's allure. And his white shirt hinted at the tantalizing presence of sculpted abs beneath. To be candid, dear sisters, I had completely forgotten the tribulations of the college entrance examinations. Now, I find myself in a state of overwhelming temptation. According to the principle of the horse race, an upper-class male lead ought to be paired with a lower-class counterpart such as myself. Shunzu appears to embody an aura of restraint. Let us explore further. I wept for 4 hours, collapsed 32 times, and slapped myself 79 times, yet I could not fathom why Shinzu bothered to wear clothing. Amidst the throng, Shinzu, holding a champagne flute, paused momentarily. His gaze inadvertently swept over me, and then he set down his glass, silently fastening the top button of his shirt. Can it be that the male lead is timid? Why the sudden formality? Unwilling to concede, I cast a reluctant glance at him and down the contents of my glass. The wine was sweet and rather delightful. I beckoned a nearby server. The system approved. Ah yes, indeed. Fill it to the brim, and then find an opportunity to spill it on the male lead, colliding into his embrace. In the next moment, its voice escalated sharply, and ran. What are you doing indulging in milk tea? I instructed you to douse the male lead, and yet you persist in filling your glass endlessly. Failure to complete the task means you shall be trapped in this world of duties. The original host met a dreadful fate. How dreadful, one might wonder. Exiled abroad, living a life of extravagant excess with 8 male models while pining for the male lead. What a torturous existence. Such anguish is precisely what I, as a mere slacker, deserve. Yet, to my astonishment, I managed to fulfill my task. The effects of the alcohol began to take hold, and with the incessant chatter of the insufferable system, I set down my glass and stepped outside for a breath of fresh air, unaware that a drunken scion had fixated on me. It had been ages since I encountered such a deviant, and I felt a flicker of excitement. In those days, I toiled day and night to fund my education, often walking home late at night, sending rogues to the police station. Once I unleashed my kicks, the entire street trembled in fear. I was dubbed 13 Sister for incapacitating 13 ruffians in a single week. Regrettably, the influence of alcohol dulled my prowess, and before I could unleash my signature kick, I was abruptly pulled from behind and tumbled into someone's embrace. The system erupted in ecstatic screams. "Ah, it's the male lead. It's the male lead." I maintained my composure. Oh, the sheer breadth of his chest. I adore this male lead. Amusingly, Shinzu's muscles are hardly worth mentioning. They merely appear firm. Even if he were to strike me, while I would perish, my spirit would remain unyielding, yearning for his closeness. A man ought to diligently train his chest. It is a matter of virtue, lest he remain unwed. Yet, these are mere platitudes. Ordinarily, a girl like me would immediately leap at the chance to embrace a male lead like Shinzu. Shinzu's grip on my hand stiffened, and he immediately recoiled as if scalded, stepping back. Is he so averse? Truly, he is the male lead. My conveniently acquired father and mother rushed over upon hearing the commotion, showering me with comfort and praising Shinzu as a good brother, while simultaneously expelling the drunken scion from the gathering and reporting him to the authorities. Before departing, Shinzu cast a lingering glance my way, his ears tinged with a faint blush under the lights. I clicked my tongue. Under the influence of alcohol, I couldn't help but shout, "If you like me, just charge in. Don't wait until I'm in love to hear the clock in the opposite direction." Suddenly, I heard a loud crash. Shinzu, who had been walking away, stumbled unexpectedly and turned to kick a vase at the entrance. Is the male lead truly so clumsy that he trips over flat ground? 3. The commotion at the engagement banquet elevated my status as the heiress of the Shin family within society. Daily, I received calls inviting me to go shopping, causing my phone to overheat. Yet, I remained utterly disoriented, lacking even the knowledge of which direction the mall faced. My conveniently acquired father had thrust me into the male supporting character's company as an assistant, under the pretense of allowing me to gain experience alongside him. In reality, it was a thinly veiled attempt to foster a connection between us. My conveniently acquired father was utterly smitten with my conveniently acquired mother. He believed my harassment at the banquet stemmed from my lack of a boyfriend, and he deemed the male supporting character a promising prospect. This is quite a difficult assessment. His intentions may be noble, but I would advise him to refrain from acting on them. The question of whether that scion is a scoundrel is momentarily set aside. To avoid further encounters of this nature, would it not be more prudent to enroll me in self-defense classes or hire a bodyguard? Does he truly perceive the male supporting character as a bodyguard? Quite astute. That comparison is not without merit. On Monday, I arrived at the bodyguard company. Oh no, I meant to say I began working at Sieze's company. Bodyguard Sieze treated me as a slave, keeping me perpetually busy throughout the week. One must ask, whose wicked female antagonist is so engaged in 007, like escapades daily, that she doesn't lose her sanity? Previously, the system had been eager for me to flirt with the male supporting character, yet now it dared not utter a single word, fearing my deteriorating mental state might cause it to spiral into chaos. On Friday, just before the close of business, Sieze summoned the management team for a meeting and instructed me to take minutes. I maintained a respectful demeanor, while internally wishing for his family tree to ascend to the heavens, using my mother as the origin point, relatives as radius, and ancestors as the center. As Sieze paused mid-contract, his face shifting from pale to flushed, he ultimately could not resist stealing a glance at me. Of late, he had been regarding me with such looks, often retreating to the restroom for extended periods. Could it be constipation? TSK, the male lead stumbles, and the male supporting character suffers from constipation. Perhaps this wretched tale is best left unwritten. As Sieze commanded the meeting with authority, I typed furiously, capturing every word, even the flattery exchanged among them. When it comes to flirtation and compliments, let me be clear, those present are all lacking. Halfway through the meeting, I found myself lost in thought, gazing at Sieze's face. The male supporting character dresses as if he just joined a real estate firm. No wonder he remained single until the end. I've been saying this for a week. Can Xiaze not change out of that froggy skin? If he can, I might just use high-voltage wires to play Chapter 7 of the night. At some point, the room fell silent, and Xiaze abruptly stood to announce a meeting break. 15 minutes later, he reappeared in a white shirt and casual trousers, having also washed his hair, looking as fresh as a college student. One moment, he's a real estate agent, the next a pure-hearted college boy. What kind of transformation is this? As if sensing my thoughts, the ever-changing Xiaze cast a meaningful glance in my direction. An ominous premonition washed over me. Sure enough, after the meeting concluded, Xiaze intercepted me. This fresh-faced college boy was increasingly appealing. I declared him my second heartthrob after the male lead. The male guest tapped his fingers on the table, bearing an expectant expression perhaps you might like. The familiarity of his words triggered alarm bells in my mind. He was employing a line reminiscent of Jean Fuju's pickup tactics, revealing his ulterior motives. Anyone seeking to drag me back to my original world to repay debts is my sworn enemy. In the next moment, we both spoke in unison. I neither like Messi nor you. Xiaze, do you like Chapter 7 of the night? Xiaze. Oh dear, I spoke too soon in my refusal. I cleared my throat. Well, actually my favorite song is What Kind of Man Is This? I tucked a stray lock of hair behind my ear, clutching my folder in a feigned display of composure. You know, us lesbians are just uniquely different. The smile on Xiaze's face froze, cracking like ice under pressure. Ignoring him, I left work without a backward glance. Passing through the night market, I seized a generous portion of barbecued treats. At 11:30, I indulged in some solitary dining at 778. However, I was taken aback to find that others were still awake at this hour. In the living room, I forced a smile. Mom and Uncle are still up? Care to join me? Please, refuse me. Let me eat in solitude. 2 seconds later, my barbecue was confiscated by my tearfully sentimental bargain mother, who gazed skyward at a 45-degree angle while munching away. My bargain stepfather hesitated, words caught in his throat. Ran, your Uncle Wang's daughter just returned from abroad. You two should get to know each other sometime. She's quite the fit young lady. And I've heard that during a fire at a bar, she was the one who bravely entered with an extinguisher while a group of men could only shout in panic. A gay bar fire, and she's the one saving the day? What a hellish joke. Help, I'm not really a lesbian. Later that night, unable to sleep, I sat up.
Ik zie ze wel.
What kind of adult reports to their parents? I didn't even get to taste that delightful barbecue. The next day at work, I brought hot water to nourish Xiaze's money tree. Who can maintain their sanity in this world? It's merely an act of keeping up appearances. Each time I encountered a daughter of one of my stepfather's friends, I watered the money tree once more. I pondered, how does my stepfather have so many friends? A week later, Xiaze held the withered money tree, lost in thought. A flicker of confusion crossed his handsome eyes. And Ran, where do you think the problem lies? My heart was at peace as I smiled throughout. After enduring this for so long, it seems the tree has a sturdy constitution. Upon leaving the office, I grabbed my bag, preparing to head home. While waiting for the elevator, I earnestly reflected on the true art of business warfare. I walked and mentally critiqued. If that dog of a male lead reports me again, I'll swap his offering with Ultraman. I was so absorbed in thought that I didn't notice the elevator doors opening with a ding. I bumped into Shunju's muscular chest, my head buzzing. Had he not swiftly caught me, I would have stumbled back several steps. Oh, my considerate male guardian. Who wouldn't he adore a male guardian? However, he wore an odd expression at that moment. It made sense. Someone as mature and composed as him could hardly fathom Xiaze's distress over a mere money tree. Living under the same roof as Shinju, we saw each other almost daily. Beyond our meals together, we often met in the gym. I must admit, the sight of him sweating beside a double-door refrigerator was utterly enchanting. On my first day at the gym, the air conditioning happened to be broken. Shinju, facing away from me on the treadmill, was drenched in sweat, exuding an overwhelming aura of masculinity. He casually tossed his t-shirt onto the handrail. I sat nearby, thoroughly enjoying the view while the system, usually vocal in encouraging me to win over the male lead, was unusually silent. As he ran faster, beads of sweat cascaded down his sculpted back and chest, a scene that could only be described as divine. The system's distorted electronic voice chimed in and Ran. You're right. Male guardians are the best. Beauty is captivating, and scenery is delightful. Yet I wondered why Shinju's ears and neck flushed a deep crimson. Could it be that my gaze was too unabashed, making him shy? Surely not. It must be that his skin is too delicate. The spectacle of this male deity lasted only a day. The next day, the air conditioning was repaired and the gym's temperature plummeted from 26 to 20 degrees. I couldn't fathom who would be so thoughtless as to adjust the temperature so low. Shinju began wearing long pants and hoodies to the gym, as if he feared running into a predator, and he started arriving earlier each day. Enamored by his beauty, I too had to rise early until my period unexpectedly arrived. During those days, I abstained from the gym, and Shinju even knocked on my door to remind me not to give up halfway. Thankfully, after that, his workout schedule became less extreme, which was a welcome change. Oh, how I lament my misfortune. Returning to reality, I glanced at Shinju waiting by the elevator. Reflecting on life. Everything else is ephemeral, but the substantiality of a well-formed chest is undeniable. Pectorals, abs, and biceps are a man's finest dowry. You must certainly work hard on these. Standing idly was not prudent, so I decided to engage in conversation. I casually inquired about Shinju's plans after meeting with Sieze. He seemed lost in thought, responding absent-mindedly. To practice my dowry, of course. Something was amiss. As I exited the company building, I spotted a couple in a passionate embrace. How unfortunate. While others were wrapped in affection daily, I was merely spectating at work. Little did I know, my misfortune was only beginning. I was kidnapped. A group of men in black ushered me into a vehicle, blindfolding me with a dark cloth. Perhaps they underestimated me, for they didn't even bind my hands. I had unwittingly stepped into a scenario befitting a novel's heroine. How thrilling! Perhaps I should call the police to celebrate this twist. The newly activated system began to chime in. Don't call the police, don't call the police. The main antagonist has sent someone to take you. They just want to deliver a message and won't harm you. You should seize this opportunity to conquer him. I found it hard to believe that the antagonist was a villain. Even from the snippets that pertained to me, I could infer that the author of this tale was likely a naive, clear-minded university student. Though chaotic, the plot was benevolent at its core. The most venomous insult was merely, damn you. The supporting character, despite creating turmoil between the main leads, ultimately faced exile abroad. The system began to ramble on about the antagonist, detailing everything from his looks to his tragic backstory, more tedious than a recitation. I grew increasingly irritated and, before I knew it, I had drifted off to sleep. When I awoke, I found myself in an abandoned, the rumored abandoned factory. I inhaled deeply, catching a whiff of a spicy and fragrant aroma wafting through the air. Truly, the antagonist must have been kicked by a donkey as a child. The blindfold was yanked away, revealing a hot pot before me, the red broth bubbling and the white soup simmering. Amidst the rising steam, a figure emerged. Help! He stumbled forward, resembling a dog guarding a hardware store. As the steam cleared, I finally discerned the man before me, a strikingly handsome figure clad in a fur coat. What on earth was wrong with him? Wearing fur in May? The antagonist, Qian Chen, exuded an imposing presence. Yet, it was evident that the ostentatious gold chain around his neck and the gold watch and rings on his hands were even more striking. The antagonist had come to deliver a chilling message. For the sake of his foster sister, the female lead Qian Ning. His posture is rather poor, peering around like a model caught in a compromising situation. Should I recommend a posture coach and Ouyang Chunxiao? This is infuriating. Wait, the fur he is wearing is shedding. How can it possibly be so poorly made? My internal monologue had been interrupted since the moment the antagonist entered. Initially, he had a grim expression, delivering his message with a scowl. Yet, inexplicably, he fell silent, glancing down at his coat. I wondered why. Suppressing a laugh was my final act of tenderness. Qian Chen, his expression darkened, removed his extravagant nine-handed mink coat. No wonder he is wearing mink. Turns out he is a delicate pup. Qian Chen gritted his teeth. I am not delicate. I reminded him, the spicy broth is boiling. It's time to immerse the meat. Realizing this, Qian Chen nodded, not wanting to delay our meal, and lifted the plate to place the beef into the red broth. I continued directing, the white broth is also ready. Add that plate as well. As he complied, Qian Chen belatedly realized something. He exclaimed and ran. I was counting seconds in my mind, and didn't he catch what he said? When the time was up, I could hardly contain my excitement. Don't just stand there. It's time to eat. Hurry and fish it out. Qian Chen made a reluctant oh sound and used a slotted spoon to retrieve the beef. And ran, I must tell you. It's done, it's done. Quickly eat. It won't taste good if it cools. Qian Chen instinctively picked up a piece. I eagerly inquired, so, How's the dipping sauce I prepared? His eyes sparkled, reminiscent of a stray dog tasting food for the first time. It's indeed delicious. I continued munching while asking, by the way, what were you about to say earlier? After a moment's thought, Qianchen replied, right, what was I going to say? Forget the complicated stuff. The lamb is ready. Have a few bites first. Oh, all right. You're actually quite kind. The man in black beside him was desperately trying to signal Qianchen, attempting to remind him of the purpose of their visit. However, Qianchen was so engrossed in his meal that he didn't even glance up and completely missed the hint. I wondered how someone with such a short attention span managed to associate with villains. The system was becoming increasingly agitated. And Ran, you truly are something. I tasked you with charming the villain, and instead, you've become merely a dining companion. Do you even understand what charm means? Ignoring it, I manually muted the system. As the hot pot neared its conclusion, I cradled a cup of barley tea, sipping delicately. Suddenly a cool, sultry voice with a hint of a smoky timbre entered from the door of the private room. Qianchen, you have quite the audacity. How dare you kidnap a young lady? Was this the female lead? The system gleefully chimed in. It's the female protagonist. You're about to be outmatched by her. The door swung open, revealing a tall, voluptuous beauty with striking features, backlit by the light. I couldn't help but exclaim, wow. Instantly, I felt the same helplessness as Su Peixing gazing at Jinxi. I wondered why I suddenly had chopsticks in my hand. It turned out I had encountered a dish I liked. There are 4 types of spiciness in this world: mild, medium, extreme, and my wife is spicy. This clothing is of such poor quality. It's old and tattered. The female lead wore a puzzled expression. Ah. How could someone look so good even while frowning? Sister. You're so beautiful, shoving away other puppies, running to the front with a wagging tail. More puppies come. Fighting with the other puppies, shoving away other puppies, wounded but still wagging tail. Sister, your beauty makes me feel like Wu Zetian mourning the loss of Li Ji. I'm truly in awe. Who is this stunning beauty talking to, shouting out? Wait a minute. Why do the gazes of Qianchen and the female lead communicate so much without words? Is my lewdness written all over my face? Qianchen stammered, so you're not targeting me, Ningjia? Isn't that obvious? I have no intention of pursuing the male lead, male supporting characters, or the villain. Why instigate a rivalry? Isn't it more enjoyable to be close to beautiful women? The female lead, Qian Ning, carefully organized her thoughts, her words cautiously chosen. I respect everyone's orientation. Although men are generally of little use, I do have a preference for tall, handsome ones with abs. You can understand that, right? I completely understand. Who doesn't like a 188 centimeters tall? Muskulaman? I hadn't expected the female lead to be so straightforward, revealing her genuine feelings upon our first meeting. Qianchen added, so you should give up. Suddenly, the door was kicked open with a loud bang. My sister would never like you. The statement hung in the air. The gazes in the room shifted in unison toward the entrance. Shin Siyu and Xie Zai's eyes landed within the room, utterly astonished. Shenku. Xisha. Qianchen. Qianning. I slowly typed out a question mark in the air. Qianchen's entourage in black was relegated to standing in the hallway. In the empty private room, Shin Siyu, Xie Zai, and the Qian siblings occupied 4 sofas. The atmosphere was tense and still, a standoff of sorts. I was mentally calling out to the system. System, are you mute? A small fist digs into my puffy cheeks, making my face appear adorably angry. Why aren't you responding? My delicate face, on the verge of tears, with trembling lashes and tightly pursed lips. The system remained unresponsive, playing dead. So you're ignoring me, huh? Fine. Infatuation isn't a sin, nor is forgetting a form of freedom. What is the outcome of tearing one's heart for you? Oh, dear. Qianchen, unable to hold back, exclaimed, Stop singing, stop singing. Not a single word is on pitch. Xie Zai and the others nodded in agreement. I wasn't even singing. Wait. I tested the waters. Can you hear what I'm thinking? 4 affirmative gazes confirmed. No way. Is this a joke? Who has the ability to read minds wholesale? What the heck? It turns out I've been completely exposed in front of them all this time. Despair washed over me as I buried my face in the sofa, but I could only endure that for a second. The sofa was not very clean and had an indescribable odor. Struggling, I asked, since when did this start? Qian Ning blushed slightly, sister's little pup. Qianchen gritted his teeth, 9-handed mink and delicate pup. Sieze looked on with amusement, real estate agent, and Chapter 7 of the night. No wonder this is more intriguing than asking whether I like Chapter 7 of the night. Sieze, reveling in my embarrassment, smugly crossed his legs. The pitiful, crying figure hugging a money tree had completely vanished. He chuckled. Honestly, I've never seen you like this. I maintained a stoic expression. It's normal. I'm your father, ever-changing. The smile faded from Sieze's face. The grin didn't disappear. It merely transferred to mine. Qian Chun, acting as the MC of this awkward scenario, asked, "And what about you, General Shen? When did it begin for you?" Shen Siyu cast me a sidelong glance. His expression somewhat unnatural. His voice dropped low, nearly inaudible. Since the ascetic type and the male mama began. The thought of those flirtatious remarks being overheard made me want to dig a hole and hide. Thankfully, there's no one left in this world that I care about. It's whatever. I'm a midnight rose steeped in melancholy. Qian Chen, with his shallow intellect, continued asking, "What does ascetic mean? What's a male mama?" His voice echoed through the room, a nuisance that I could no longer tolerate. "Shut up, you delicate pup wearing mink in 40-degree heat." The noise ceased abruptly. Qian Chen, infuriated, retorted, "I am not a delicate pup." I coldly replied, "Yes, you resemble a mantis in heat, hunting for dung." Qian Chen, irate, sought to confront me, but Shen Siyu raised a hand gently, pressing him back down. I erupted into laughter. Qian Chen exclaimed, "What are you laughing at? In terms of strength, I'm 50-50 with your brother, alright?" Qian Ning uttered a delightful "oh," her tone rising at the end, which I adored. Qian Chen, unwilling to accept defeat, muttered, "He took 7 of my parts in 3 minutes. Truth be told, it's not a problem to fall and rise again. But bouncing back like Sieze after a fall is quite another matter." Master Ran, having been busy all day, was unaware of what she had been preoccupied with. That day, she had lost 4 disguises, leaving her reputation, built over many years, in tatters. She drank herself into a stupor alongside the ever-changing Xie and Qian, and even managed to cozy up to a beautiful sister. Ultimately, she found herself weeping in the embrace of her male guardian, breathless and hoarse, declaring, "I don't want to go home. I have debts to repay. 10 billion. I can't even string together enough money to pay it back." In truth, I had no desire to return. There was nothing there for me to cling to, which is why I did not flinch when the out-of-control truck came barreling toward me. At the age of 7, my biological mother sent me to a family, leaving with a wad of cash in her hands. She told me to behave, assuring me they would treat me well. But she deceived me. The family that took me in was anything but kind. In the bitter cold of winter, I was made to live in a pigsty and wash the family's clothes in icy water. Because I refused to play with their foolish son, I was often punished by being made to kneel all day long. Later, a beautiful older sister moved in next door. She was chained and emaciated, her lovely eyes devoid of any light. I felt we were kindred spirits. I saved my meals and secretly gave them to her. She devoured the food ravenously and told me that this place was not her home. She begged me to help her contact her family. I memorized the string of numbers over and over. That night, on an empty stomach, I traversed the mountains until my feet bled to reach the town. I waited from dawn until morning for the shops to open, finally managing to dial the number. I had never considered leaving at that moment. The older sister told me that if her family came to rescue her, she would take me with her. If they didn't, at least we would have each other for companionship. Her family did arrive to rescue her, driving a car that looked exceedingly expensive. Yet she had lied. She did not take me with her. Even when I called out to her, she merely paused for a moment, not even glancing back. Her family asked if she recognized me and whether she wanted to take me along. She remained silent, discarding me as if I were trash. I couldn't comprehend why the older sister acted this way. She had once smiled at me while combing my hair and sung me sweet songs when I was hurt. But it mattered little. They did not want me, and I did not want them either. Once I had healed, I ventured back to the town under the cover of night, begging for food until I reached the train station, boarding a train behind a farmer. As the train chugged along, I gazed out the window, uncertain of where the road ahead led or what the future held. All I desired was a home. The headmistress, my surrogate mother, provided me with a home. Alas, good souls do not live long. She passed away from a sudden illness the year I was accepted into university. To shield me from the news that might affect my exams, the orphanage staff kept it hidden. I never even got to see her one last time. Touching the cold gravestone, I realized at that moment that I had no home left. After entering the novel, life treated me well. Each person was kind beyond measure. My inexpensive birth mother would repeatedly confirm my preferences before remarrying. She cooked my favorite dishes and would sneak into my room at night to check if I was properly covered. My inexpensive stepfather was a romantic at heart. However, when Xieze complained about me, he never scolded me. Instead, he introduced me to the daughters of various friends. Shinsiyu would not hesitate to stand up for me when others bullied me. Despite his dog-like tendencies, Xieze listened to advice and had never worn a toad skin. He was not even angry when I killed the money tree. He merely bought another one and added 5 locks. Though Qian Chen was a bit slow-witted, he proved to be a reliable dining companion, never barking at me during meals. And who could resist Qian Ning, the fragrant, soft, and smoky-voiced beauty? No one had ever treated me so well. Because of them, I began to cherish this world. Surroundings seemed to quiet down, and through a haze, someone wiped away my tears and gently ruffled my hair. There, get some good sleep, they said. I truly did not know I would be so wild when drunk. I owe thanks to Qianchen and Xieze for helping me recall the events. They recorded videos and shared them in the group, with me making a fool of myself every few minutes. It didn't matter. I had no shame. At 8 in the morning, I emerged from my room with puffy eyes. Shinsiyu was sipping coffee while reading the newspaper. Ran, good morning, he greeted me. Who even invented good morning? Whose father is even good at this? Shinsiyu sighed. Ran, please refrain from using foul language. With a rebellious spirit, how could I simply comply? After my wild antics were revealed, I no longer held back in my provocations. I danced recklessly in his danger zone. Xinjiang grapes are big, arriving in Lhasa at midnight. The price is right. Don't buy if you don't touch. Why is my brother ignoring me? Yelling, turning into a monkey, flying into the primeval forest, swinging on vines, crashing into a monkey eating bananas. As a child, I wanted to be a scientist. Now that I have grown up, I realize I just want to have a home with you. I used to be a shy person. I'm grateful for entering this story, which has made me confident and cheerful. Now I'm wildly unrestrained, and when I see you, I'm direct and confident. Shinsiyu, hi, my man. Shinsiyu held the newspaper tightly, his face flushed as if he might steam up. Hee, after teasing him, my smile could rival AK. Learning from my mistakes, Shinsiyu also grew wiser. Once he calmed down, he licked his lips and asked, I'm going to work out, do you want to join? I was instantly alert. If he mentioned that, I was no longer sleepy. Without hesitation, I dashed toward the gym, but Shinsiyu caught my collar from behind. Eat first, then we'll go. Zhang Ma, make me a jianbingguizi, a more suitable Mexican chicken wrap for Chinese kids. Shinsiyu added. And make a glass of soy milk for Ran. That works too. A coffee more suited for Chinese kiddos. I poked Shinsiyu's arm. His solid muscles gave me a sense of security. I winked at him. What will you be training today? Shinsiyu gave me a helpless glance and sighed. Training my dowry. Oh, clever. My inexpensive stepfather and birth mother descended the stairs hand in hand, their remarks wafting behind them. My inexpensive birth mother commented. Those two siblings have a great bond. My inexpensive stepfather hesitated. I feel like it's not quite that. He intended to give me a small company to practice with. So Shinsiyu and Qianning took turns imparting business knowledge to me. The sensation of this knowledge skimming through my brain, leaving nothing behind, was truly captivating. My mind was filled with stocks, futures, and business cases, even dreaming of Buffett's kind face. Xieze was going crazy in the group. And Ran. Last time you replaced my offering with Ultraman, that's fine. After all, I believe in the light. And Ran. But why did you replace my offering with Ling Na Bei Air? And Ran, come out and get beaten. How dare he ask why? I merely skipped Shen Laosher and Qian Laosher's classes to watch a Magic Mike show. That dog Xieze didn't uphold any morals and directly sold me out. I coaxed the male and female leads for ages, but they didn't forgive me. Who understands family? The irate male protagonist was even more elusive than a pig during the New Year festivities. Meanwhile, Qian Chen was there, adding fuel to the fire with his acidic remarks. It's one thing to be called a lapdog, but to be abandoned even by Shinzu? You truly have a talent for causing harm. You call her sister when it suits you, yet when it comes to a real challenge, you toss her over the wall. If you're going to pursue men, at least take my sister along. I shot a fierce glare at Qian Chen. My murderous intent may not have been overt, but it was undeniably pure. At that moment, I naively believed such days would last indefinitely until I heard the unfamiliar mechanical voice. The task has been completed. A wave of foreboding washed over me, and I frantically called out to the system. Yet, no one responded. The icy mechanical voice continued, rewards being distributed. Reality world loading. Just before losing consciousness, I vaguely saw my loved ones rushing towards me in panic. Ran. Daughter. The task I had intended to abandon was inexplicably finished. I hadn't even had the chance to bid them farewell before I was thrust back into the real world. It has now been a month since I awoke from my hospital bed. My estranged father, in the late stages of cancer, perhaps struck by a sudden pang of conscience before his demise, not only liquidated his assets to repay debts, but also bequeathed me the remaining 100 million in cash. Could this be what the system referred to as the reward for successfully completing the? Even so, it did little to soothe my frayed nerves. I was in a rage. Like a monkey crushed beneath the flower fruit mountain for 5 centuries, I would gladly take a knife to the passing earthworm. I had initially expected to languish in a fictional world, yet here I was, grappling with life and death upon my return to reality. Especially with the greasy man across from me incessantly prattling on, rattling off names from Van Gogh to Borges like a monotone menu. This man, it is said, is a non-material cultural heritage left to me by my father, my so-called fiancé. I leaned back, crossing my legs. What is the foundational logic of your self-introduction? Where is the overarching design? What is the final value delivered? Where are the touch points in the process? How can you ensure a closed-loop result? Can you empower the product ecosystem? What sets you apart from others? What advantages do you possess? I fail to see your depth and contemplation. Do you have a methodology of your own? You must clarify to others why it is you who should succeed in love. Wouldn't someone else fare just as well? The incessantly chatty, greasy man responded. Huh? I waved my hand dismissively and continued. You're not unique. You are just like every other man I know. You exude a sense of sycophancy, a rather vulgar air, as though you've read few books yet carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. I've heard many lament their loneliness, yet yours does not strike me as genuine. It feels as though you are perpetually alone within yourself, mistaking your lack of distinction for unrecognized talent. You yearn for excessive validation, for others to proclaim their understanding of you. You desire the fiery passion of emotion to scorch your soul, seeking an idealized form of love. The reality is that by day you masquerade as a flawless feminist, discussing Wolf and Beauvoir with girls, and by night you leave comments on social media for some sister to admire your legs. You come across as someone who has memorized countless names, spouting Nietzsche and Camus while referencing Kafka and Sartre, yet no one will love you for your name-dropping. People merely perceive you as pretentious. Often, I have no desire to comprehend you. I sense a pervasive air of victimhood surrounding you, and I am disinclined to shatter that illusion. In conclusion, I added, considering your character and your appearance, I believe we should terminate this engagement. The greasy man stormed off, cursing. Little did he know I had seen the calculating glint in his eyes. Men, after all, either resemble Shinzu, handsome and manly, or Sieze, handsome yet lethargic, or Qianchen, handsome yet naive. And here I was, possessing beauty and wealth. Yet why would I settle for someone like him? The long-absent system finally resurfaced as I vented my frustrations. You're absolutely right. Such greasy, mediocre men deserve to be scolded. I exclaimed, where have you been all this time? Since the day of the mind-reading confession, the system had vanished entirely. Even the announcement of my successful wasn't voiced by it. The system began to lament. You have no idea how miserable I've been. I once thought I was the only system in that world, only to discover there were 4 others just like me. These 4 systems had their own targets: the male protagonist, the female protagonist, the male supporting character, and the antagonist. Clearly, these other systems and their hosts lacked the self-awareness I possessed. The strategists, arrogant in their understanding of the plot, looked down upon each target equally. Hence, it was no surprise they were discovered by Shinzu and company. The reason the protagonists stood out wasn't solely due to their halo, but also because they possessed intellect. Eventually, those 4 systems were formatted, leaving only the mind-reading skill. Whenever a strategist approached their targets, their innermost thoughts would be revealed. Good heavens, the information was overwhelming, and I struggled to absorb it. They had known from the outset that I was there to strategize against them. If they could act so convincingly, why not pursue acting as a career? Wait, what about Qianchen? I believed Shinzu, Sieze, and Qianning possessed the capability. But did Qianchen truly have the brains for this? The system, unfazed, replied, he may lack intellect, but He has a sister. Ah, that explained it. The system's voice suddenly dropped. On the day of the confession, I was captured by them. It lowered its voice even further. I deceived them, claiming that if this succeeded, you could remain. They believed me. Seeing my expression darken, it hurried to add, but, there's a twist. Shinzu, Qianning, and the others, including the extra Qianchen, had seized the system the moment I was taken away. Then they used this as leverage to negotiate with the main god system. I raised an eyebrow. Didn't you say the main god system was a pervert? The system suddenly became evasive. That's just a little game between couples. I have no idea how they managed to tear through time and space to merge the two worlds, but you should be able to see them soon. It felt as though a weary traveler in the desert had finally spotted an oasis. An indescribable joy and satisfaction surged within me. The system sighed. You will never see them again. I exclaimed, you. Its voice suddenly rose. The main god system is far worse than making me traverse through 99 worlds of female protagonists without a love interest. What cruelty, that is, for someone with a romantic mindset. I was left speechless. This development was beyond my expectations. I felt something gently embrace me, and a voice, both familiar and foreign, whispered in my ear. It sounded akin to the system's original voice. She softly said, "Be happy, Ran Ran." I furrowed my brow. Have we met before? No one responded. She had already departed. Someone called my name from behind. I turned to see a group of familiar figures. Leading the way were my surrogate mother and father, followed closely by Qianchen and Qianning. Bringing up the rear were Shinzu and Xiaze. Love and acceptance rushed towards me, and in that moment, all my withered regrets blossomed anew. End of main text. Systems side story. A transparent shadow materialized in the air, revealing the faint outline of a beautiful girl. Observing the scene of familial reunion not far away, she exhaled a sigh of relief. Years ago, her momentary cowardice and selfishness had nearly ruined and Ran's life. Every day since being rescued, she has been haunted by the memory of those yearning eyes. The light within those eyes gradually faded, ultimately extinguished into oblivion. The time when she failed to bring you home has now transformed into an opportunity to finally provide you with a place to belong. Parents, friends, and lovers surround her. Yet, one must surely find happiness. The Master System inquired. Without your aid, the four of them might not have been able to merge the worlds. She remains unaware of all that you have done. The young woman interrupted. It is still worth it. My debt to her can never truly be repaid. Countless times in the stillness of midnight, she dreams of returning to that fateful day, no longer a deserter. She envisions herself firmly grasping the hand of that kind-hearted child, sincerely reciprocating the kindness shown to her. The Master System murmured, worth it? Then why aren't you hastening to your tasks? What time is it? Why haven't you gone to work yet? You still have 99 worlds to traverse. The young woman retorted indignantly, I know, you omnipotent overseer. The end of the tale. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the next story.